is setting Diddy up.
You think I wasn't gonna get at you from the inside?
He has reached out to a witness, an alleged participant in multiple freak-offs.
Said that he alleges that Diddy strapped it to his face and made him parade around a party.
Then why Oprah staying quiet? Why Ellen moving to another country? Don't be shocked if nobody show up to testify.
What if everything you thought you knew about JayZ and Diddy's friendship was a lie, as explosive courtroom testimony shakes music world? Shocking new claims suggest the fallout isn't just about Diddy, but JayZ might be the one feeling the heat. Next, what exactly was said in court, and why has it sent waves of fear across celebrity circles? Stay tuned as we unravel the bombshell revelations that have left even the most powerful figures in panic mode.
Oprah staying quiet. Why Ellen moving to another country? Don't be shocked if nobody show up to testify. Are you surprised to hear from me?
No. What's going on?
You think I wasn't gonna get at you from the inside? I think you know me a little better than that.
We can't be talking right now, Puff.
Nah. With all due respect, my brother, how is your wife doing? I heard she's spending a lot of time on the farm, and she loves talking to a pig. I told you when I went on this little road trip, I wasn't going to invite you, but I could change my mind. You understand?
Listen, everything's all good. We just can't talk right now.
Now, how about I just talk and you listen? You told me the storm would just come and go if I lay down and stay quiet, but the weather seemed to be getting worse. You know, I could be catching a cold, so I need to make sure you send me some vitamin E and my special K cereal.
Relax. Some things fell through, but everything will be back up soon. Just keep calling your family. You'll be with them soon.
Oh, I'm doing the same thing for Thanksgiving. Make sure you send it straight to the Shade Room and TMZ. Make me look like a good father, and all I need is one juror to be on my side, and this case is over. Make sure them Amazon deliveries get back on schedule, then there won't be no need for us to talk right now.
Just chill out, Puff. I told you I'ma get it done.
The entertainment world was hit with a shockwave as Diddy's courtroom revelations exploded across headlines, a case that many thought might quietly play out in legal circles. Instead, ignited a storm that rippled through the celebrity elite, leaving even the most untouchable figures on edge. The trial itself, already heavy with anticipation, became the center of intense scrutiny after a bombshell testimony unearthed connections and accusations that no one saw coming, according to inner-city press details emerging from the court. Shattered any hopes for discretion, dragging names and associations into the open that many thought were buried for good inside the courtroom. The air was thick with tension, almost suffocating in its weight. Witnesses shifted uncomfortably under the relentless gaze of attorneys while Diddy himself sat at the defense table, his usually cool composure faltering under the intensity of the moment at times. He would glance toward the gallery, his expression unreadable, but his posture betrayed him stiff, locked in place, as if bracing for impact. Each shocking statement cracked the facade. Attendees, including unsuspecting industry insiders and media representatives, exchanged hushed glances, their unease growing with each new revelation. Whispers rippled through the rows as the gallery seemed to collectively realize this wasn't just about Diddy anymore. The most unsettling details came down to whispers of a much larger network at play, one that potentially implicated other major players in the music industry. This wasn't just about missteps or legal woes confined to a single man testimonies. Some vague others, alarmingly specific, suggested a system of connections and dealings that extended far beyond Diddy's immediate circle. As reported by inner-city press, one particular statement stood out, a witness casually dropping a high-profile name in passing, leaving the courtroom frozen for a moment as the ripple effect took hold for the people in that room. It was no longer about what happened weeks ago or months ago, but what these revelations could mean for the future. Few dared to breathe as speculation began to build among the names murmured in the aftermath. JayZ's presence loomed large, though nothing conclusive tied him directly to the case. At this point, some testimony alluded to past interactions, raising questions about the extent of his involvement or knowledge of certain dealings. What really caught the public's attention was the dominoic unraveling of relationships and partnerships. Diddy's trial had made one thing painfully clear: no one operating in these circles was entirely untouchable. If one thread could come undone, there was no telling How far it could stretch for now, speculation swirled around JayZ's ties, faint yet strong enough to spark unease. But this was only the beginning. Witness lists, press commentary, and public outrage were already amplifying the pressure. The sense that more revelations were on the way hung over Hollywood and the music industry like an ominous storm cloud, and while so many unanswered questions remain, one becomes impossible to ignore. What about these explosive revelations has JayZ so concerned? Is it guilt by association or something far more incriminating? Asked.
You know, I've been thinking about watching a movie lately. It's called Eyes Wide Shut. Have you seen it? It's got a real famous celebrity in there, don't it?
Yeah, Tom Cruise. What's your point?
Is that who it is? Man, I thought it was a different celebrity. I guess it might have been a different movie. You know, I got a lot of movies on my mind sometimes, and I get the actors confused. Some of these actors are so good, they act like they don't even know they're being recorded. Your wife did a few movies, then she did a few movies, then she...
Okay, that was a long time ago, Puff. What the fuck are you trying to say?
Oh, nothing. Just talking to an old friend. You know, I haven't talked to friends in a long time. It seemed like they forgot about me. Let's make sure they keep it that way. Let's make sure they keep it that way.
Man, what's the point of this? I told you everything straight.
Good. And make sure you keep the worm food away from my house while I'm gone. It gets messy. Too many insects start digging around. Remember when I cleaned up the worm food around your house? I kept a sample in case you need it.
Oh, listen, don't push your limits, Puff. I ain't the one to play with. You in there, and I'm out here.
Oh, and don't have another Kit Kat. It's bad for you. She made me gain weight. And get 44 on board again. Make him pull some strings again, or else.
First of all, Puff, you need to watch your mouth. You know who you talking to? Second of all, this the that got you in the first place. You always think that you're bigger than what you really are. You need to stop trying to bite the hand that feeds you, and you wouldn't be in this position. And you don't got what you think you got.
Okay, you getting all fired up. I like that, Daddy. It's all love. But if I don't got what I think I got, then why Oprah staying quiet? Why Ellen moving to another country? Why Leo been in Fiji for months? When I get this bail though, this case going away. I don't need no phone. I don't need no internet. I'll send a letter on a fucking bird. You already ruined my fucking name. And you know what that means? You going up against somebody who got nothing to lose and everything to gain.
What about Diddy's trial could possibly tie back to JayZ at first glance? These two music moguls might appear connected only by the occasional collaboration or shared industry influence, but as details from the trial unfolded, observers quickly realized their ties might run deeper than business as usual over the years. JayZ and Diddy have maintained overlapping social and professional circles, sharing connections with key figures in music, nightlife, and even the corporate world. Their intertwined success stories have long painted a picture of mutual respect, but now a shadow has been cast over those ties. Central to this cloud of suspicion are references made in the courtroom that seem to hint at questionable dealings among high-profile figures. Inner-city press reported that specific testimony pointed to partnerships and events where Diddy wasn't the only one with significant influence. While no direct accusation have been thrown at JayZ, yet legal analysts have noted how the seemingly innocent overlap between the two moguls is now drawing scrutiny. One particular instance raised eyebrows. Discussions of lavish industry parties and gatherings that, according to witnesses, involve tightly controlled guest lists and a level of secrecy that in hindsight feels far from harmless. JayZ's attendance at some of these events is well documented, and while that alone proves nothing, the mention of those occasions in a courtroom setting has fueled public curiosity. Behind the scenes, insiders suggest JayZ's team is paying close attention to the trial's developments publicly. He has remained silent, but reports indicate growing unease within his camp. The question isn't whether JayZ could be directly implicated, it's whether these connections now, under the microscope, could begin to paint him in an unflattering light. Even associations that once seemed inconsequential now feel like they carry potential consequences for individuals with empires as vast as JayZ's. The risk isn't just legal exposure, it's reputational damage. That can lead to doors quietly closing within critical networks. What makes this more troubling is the broader implication of allegations. Presented in court, legal experts have pointed out that while a trial focuses on specific charges, the testimony can inadvertently lay bare a culture or a system that connects multiple individuals. When figures like JayZ share a history with someone at the center of such a trial, it's easy for those connections to attract suspicion. The nature of celebrity magnifies this. Even circumstantial ties can spark a media frenzy, forcing those involved to respond to accusations that may not even exist yet. And yet one revelation from the trial has stirred even more whispers about JayZ's role. A witness mentioned a particular business transaction, a deal brokered at the peak of both men's careers. No concrete wrongdoing was implied, yet the timing and circumstances made it notable. Enough for some to raise questions. Was it purely coincidental or part of a larger narrative that's only now coming into focus? This single mention, vague but deliberate, has left many wondering if more lies beneath the surface now. As testimony continues, the question lingers: could these connections be little more than an unfortunate coincidence, or are they threads in a much larger story yet to unravel? While there's no definitive answer, yet one thing is clear: JayZ's past could hold unexpected surprises for those looking too closely.
JayZ is setting Diddy up. He ain't doing different. The acceptable monster at this time, like R. Kelly was the last time I sat on this couch. I want you to think about 106th and Park with Mary J. Blige. Free, who is a victim of Sean Carter.
Yeah.
Mary J. Blige, who was a victim of Sean Combs, are sitting there talking about the death of Aaliyah. I'm saying, Sean Carter, you're a piece of shit. Taking Pimp C wasn't bad enough. You just want to go down there and you want to just remove all of the balls from every real gangster. And she was trained at the esteemed Berklee College of Music. Handpicked by my very good friend, Terry Lynn Carrington, Dr. Terry Lynn Carrington, who put together Beyonce's entire female band, which was Matthew Knowles' idea because he couldn't get Beyonce to stop people. Guess you didn't know your daughter well enough because she just started all the girls.
It's like, I heard some shit about he has clothes on or something. I don't know. Like, I don't really know if all this is true, but I just heard parts like, I'm like, what happened to my guy?
Right.
And then they come out with the official. It was a mixture of some stuff, the prescription and something else or something that I don't really know. But with me, I never really heard something that would give that closure for me. I never really heard anything tangible or true, like what happened to my guy.
Hey, Kevin, when you hosted, did you catch any baby oil?
You'll see,
I hosted it. Yeah.
you asking the wrong person the wrong question.
Rihanna, did you attend any of P. Diddy's parties? Were you involved in any of the freak-offs?
For years, JayZ's rise to business and music dominance has been celebrated as one of the most iconic success stories in entertainment. But now, in the wake of Diddy's trial, incidents and decisions from JayZ's past are being pulled back into the spotlight, framed in a way that raises uncomfortable questions. Public interest is no longer just focused on Diddy's trial, but on the kind of environment that allowed power players to thrive unchecked for decades. And JayZ's history, one that was largely seen as inspiring, is now being scrutinized under this harsher lens. One of the incidents now being revisited is JayZ's involvement with Rockefeller Records and its early days in the music industry. Rockefeller played a major role in shaping hip-hop, but it also operated in the high-stakes, high-pressure world of late-night deals and exclusivity. During this time, JayZ partnered with figures who would later face legal troubles while his name was never tied to malpractice at the time. Critics are now questioning how close he may have been to some of the questionable actions allegedly taking place around him. These questions don't align with direct accusations, but reflect a renewed interest in examining the bigger picture. How these moguls built their empires with the same circles of influence. Adding fuel to this scrutiny is the now infamous stabbing incident involving JayZ and music executive Lance Unriva. Back in 1999, at the time, JayZ took responsibility, pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor assault charge, and publicly moved on, framing it as an isolated incident in a turbulent industry. Now, however, that moment feels less like an outlier and more like a glimpse into an industry that kept its darkest actions behind the scenes. Some are asking whether this wasn't just a personal altercation, but reflective of a climate where aggression was an unwritten rule among power players as more courtroom testimony highlights secretive deals and exclusivity. Old events like this one linger in the background as the public purse a larger culture of unchecked behavior. Meanwhile, media narratives surrounding JayZ's business dealings are beginning to shift. Collaborative ventures that once symbolized his trailblazing stature are now being revisited with skepticism. For instance, his relationship with Diddy on projects like the Forbes 5, which highlighted hip-hop's wealthiest mogul, now comes across as a strategic alignment in a much smaller and tightly knit network than previously acknowledged. The kind of access and collaboration showcased in their partnerships is being re-evaluated not as a coincidence but as a deliberate connection. In an era that bred questionable alliances, public forums online are already buzzing with speculation, and whispers in the industry suggest more people are beginning to wonder about potential overlaps between JayZ's business contacts and the names that have come up in Diddy's trial. One significant moment that stands out involves JayZ's acquisition of Tidal. The streaming platform was positioned as an artist-first service, but early on allegations of mismanagement and inflated metrics raised eyebrows. Tidal's controversy, lightly dismissed at the time as growing pains, is now being discussed as an example of potentially deeper issues tied to JayZ's business life, with witnesses in Diddy's trial describing financial missteps tied to controlling interests in ventures. Some wonder whether these patterns echo across the lines JayZ once navigated. The focus on JayZ isn't just about potential legal risks, it's about reshaping how his decisions fit into public narratives of power and influence. What previously earned admiration now draws scrutiny, creating a perception that his actions are being reinterpreted as part of a much larger and increasingly worrisome context.
He alleges that Diddy strapped a to his face and made him parade around a party. And he says that in this party, JayZ, Beyonce, LeBron, and Gloria Estefan saw him in rare form because of this.
Say that they have you on tape denying that JayZ assaulted you. Is that true?
No. They don't. I've never said that.
They also say that you told them, and they have it on tape, that I, Tony Busby, told you to came up with this plan and told you to say that JayZ assaulted you so you would get more money.
No.
Combs allegedly planned and controlled the sex performances, which he called freak-offs, and he often electronically recorded them. The freak-offs sometimes lasted days at a time.
Typically, the victim is lured into a situation where he or she is given a drink. Typically, that drink, reported by these victims, is apparently laced with something. Once that drink takes effect, perpetrators perform all kinds of sexual acts on the victims.
This guy from neighborhoods similar to where I've grown up that made it to these unreachable heights. Puff was the first one that came through and made us feel like, it was us. It was ghetto fabulous. We took our rightful place at the tables and the boardrooms and the fashion shows, and we arrived.
That was interesting. When I was saying things not knowing exactly what I was saying, but I was going, where's Jay at? He's mad quiet. While the Puffy thing was going on. But it's obvious now that his team was being made aware that he was in those allegations also.
You can't tell me Jay didn't see a 14-year-old girl come in the studio and sit on R. Kelly's lap. No. You can't tell me, you want to tell me that he ain't never seen a 14-year-old girl come in the vicinity?
My belief is that anybody who's worked with him and been in his cipher has seen it go down.
JayZ's rise from Brooklyn streets to global business powerhouse has been nothing short of legendary. His empire spans music, sports, management, luxury, liquor brands, streaming platforms, and more, with partnerships involving multi-billion-dollar corporations like LVMH and his Roc Nation agency overseeing everything from artist management to major sports deals. JayZ has solidified himself as a cultural and financial icon, but with Diddy's trial sending shockwaves through the industry. Some of these very connections are beginning to feel the tremor of public and professional fallout. The revelations surrounding Diddy have sparked quiet shifts within JayZ's professional networks. Corporate leaders who once relied on his spotless image to drive collaborations may now feel uneasy about proximity to growing speculation. While no specific accusations have tied him to Diddy's controversies, the trial has inadvertently dragged JayZ into conversations that corporate branding often works hard to avoid. Media outlets have reported murmurs within Roc Nation as executives assess the reputational risks of these growing parallels. Damage control discussions are reportedly ramping up behind the scenes, but for an empire of this magnitude, even whispers of association can have a cost. Some partnerships have already been blindsided by public scrutiny. Insiders have pointed to a luxury liquor deal involving JayZ's Armand Debrin Champagne, also known as Ace of Spades. While the partnership remains intact, there are rumors of hesitancy from investors and distributors who are cautious about any potential long-term backlash. Deals in the entertainment sector often lean on public perception, meaning even minor reputational cracks can ripple outward, causing deals to stall, rebrand, or quietly dissolve. It's a delicate balancing act, especially for someone like JayZ, whose identity is so closely tied to his ventures. Legal experts have explained just how precarious situations like these can be for celebrities, whose businesses rely heavily on their personal reputation when public suspicion grows. It's not lawsuits that can hit them hardest, it's partnerships quietly vanishing without a word, one expert noted, and this is where JayZ's challenges may become most apparent. While his wealth provides a buffer, the strength of his empire leans heavily on brand alliances built over years. Quiet shifts in trust can erode the foundation of even the largest structures. The fallout looms larger when considering just how expansive JayZ's network has become. He's not just a musician or businessman. He runs Roc Nation, has a stake in the streaming giant title, and maintains ties to social and political efforts that have become part of his public persona. If even one pillar of this empire feels significant strain, it could trigger consequences across the board. And yet the question remains, how does someone as influential as JayZ contain this growing uncertainty? With lawyers, PR teams, and high executives now likely working overtime, his focus has shifted from growth to protection. For now, the question of how far the damage could spread still hangs in the air.
What's in this Pimp C tape?
All I can tell you, there was a famous R&B chick, and it was a guy that was getting money at the time. And, you know, Pimp, he used to be in the studio, and every now and then he'd have a camcorder, so he was able to get some footage. And he wanted to do something with the footage, but I don't know why he didn't do nothing with it. But if I could have got a hold of that tape, I'd be a billionaire, man. Whoever it was, they had to kill me, man. I know TMZ would have paid a bank for that one, man. But yeah, it is a tape, and if you read the comments, a lot of people figured out. Okay. A lot of people figured out because, you know, people that was in Houston at the time, they know who was a little.
Comments about P. Diddy, the allegations?
Well, don't leave. You don't need to speak out against this Diddy thing. What's your take now? John, you made a statement about Diddy. What? Jason, hey, my man, do you have any reaction to the Diddy scandal? Any reaction? No reaction? Is everything going? Everything good. Is Hollywood going to survive this Diddy thing? Like, don't worry. Will you respond? She wants to respond. Look at it. I want to ask about the Diddy scandal. Have you ever heard of anything such? No. Go. No? Is the Baldwin family at all concerned about Justin Bieber with this P. Diddy thing?
The courtroom revelations have placed JayZ in a precarious position, one where potential risks go beyond simple headlines. While no direct legal allegations have been made against him, the connections outlined during testimony have triggered a complicated web of questions about his association's past dealings and the optics surrounding his rise to power. Legal experts observing the development suggests that while his involvement may not directly warrant legal action, yet the indirect fallout could place JayZ in a difficult and unrelenting spotlight behind closed doors. JayZ's legal team is reportedly on high alert. Insiders claim they've begun quietly consulting on the implications of proximity to figures under investigation. With a focus on safeguarding JayZ's assets and managing the court of public opinion, the strategy appears to be one of preparation rather than reaction. However, it's a balancing act. Over-preparing risks, signaling guilt while ignoring the growing scrutiny could lead to reputational cracks that are difficult to repair. So far, neither JayZ nor his representatives have offered public comment on the trial, maintaining a deliberate silence that legal analysts say is likely a calculated choice to avoid missteps that hasn't stopped speculation from taking off. Legal observers and industry insiders alike are weighing the potential consequences JayZ could face if any of these courtroom threads tie back to him. One recurring theory is that, if investigations into a broader network begin, individuals with tangential links may become entangled, not necessarily because they're guilty, but because of the connections that bring them closer to the situation. It's about the optics, said one legal commentator, who explained that even whispers of questionable associations can lead to image erosion, especially when public narratives take on a life of their own, and when it's someone like JayZ, whose immense empire depends heavily on trust and brand value. Those optics have substantial weight in the face of all this. One reported step JayZ has taken stands out, sources close to his circle suggest. He has begun streamlining his business operations with tighter internal oversight now in place to ensure no exposure to risks tied to outside figures. This move, though subtle, points to a proactive attempt to insulate his empire from the ripple effects of ongoing revelations. Additionally, there are murmurs of an enhanced focus on philanthropic initiatives, perhaps part of a broader strategy to reinforce his image as a cultural leader and distance himself from the controversy swirling through parts of the industry. However, these efforts may not fully shield JayZ from the broader forces at play. Even the aura of invincibility surrounding someone of his stature is being tested in an environment where allegiances and histories are being re-examined. As the trial drags more names into public view, it raises an unnerving question for JayZ's team. How much smoke can surround him before someone starts chasing the fire? Could the mogul, who's built an image of untouchable success, be caught in the fallout of an industry-wide reckoning? For now, the answer remains uncertain, but this uncertainty itself may be a sign of the storm still to come. JayZ's name being tied to the fallout of Diddy's trial highlights just how fragile even the most powerful reputations can be when histories come under a microscope. These connections, whether circumstantial or substantive, raise unsettling questions about the culture behind the empires. The courtroom might not have directly accused him yet, but the broader implications send a clear warning. No one is immune when the ripple effects start spreading. This story is undeniably far from over, and as more names surface, the stakes get higher. Subscribe and stay tuned. There's more to uncover, and you won't want to miss what happens.